Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Sunday. I am Edna White. I'm so glad I'm here with you today. Today's Sunday, and it's kind of like an odd day for me to kind of be doing a live. But I woke up this morning and I was having this conversation with my higher power and, just getting myself together. And I thought about something, I wanted to share with you. And I always love to share new revelations, new thoughts, as a thought leader, new thoughts that come to mind. And one thing that came to mind was pretending. Last night I went with a very good friend of mine to see, well, I call her our daughter, perform in a concert. Although she's 39, she's still our daughter, So to perform in a concert. And it was the first time I was ever, in the city that late, I guess, well, in a couple of years. Um, so we had a really great time. But what came to mind in that instance, I was looking at the people, had forgotten how much I loved the city, and I loved the people in the city because everyone is an individual. They dress individually. They have their own sense of self, I could say. And I saw that, and it made me feel really, really good because I love to be around eclectic individuals. I love to be around diversity. Um, and of course, I love just people in general. But something had came to mind because I had a discussion earlier, and I was thinking about the actor who just died, from Friends, and I was thinking about Robin Williams, and those things were coming to mind, and then people that I know that are really not feeling well and very sick. But I believe that pretending, it kills our body and soul. It kills us. I believe that us not being individuals of who we are, like, you know, who we really are, it makes us ill. It mentally tires us. And I said this about Friends, the guy from Friends who passed away. I said, I thought about Robin Williams and a lot of the other actors. I said, a lot of times when we're pretending so much and so long and so hard, and we're doing it all the time, that can be taxing on our minds. So of course, the audience, when we see the passing of these great celebrities and the mental anguish they have, we'll never really think about their lives are just like ours. They can be overworked, they could be pressed and overworked and mentally challenged because they have so much to do and they overwhelmed, but they have nobody because they've literally signed the contract with the devil. So why do I say all of that? I say all of that because pretending can kill you. It can literally kill you. Now we're taught to forgive and we're taught to forget. And we're also taught another little thing that, some of us have grown up with is what happens in the house stays in the house. And all of those are lies of pretenders. That I come to realize that they're lies of the pretenders that want to keep this facade up, that these things are really what's happening. And I call it the Brady Bunch syndrome. That when the Brady Bunch came out for me, I looked at it and I was watching and I was like, these kids don't act like us. And it started giving me this really uncomfortable feeling. Are we supposed to act like that? And I would ask my mother these questions, and she goes, no, it's just television. And I was like, what does that even mean? Is it fake? Is it real? What does it come from? And I say that because the Brady Punch is something that we aspire to be, and we don't even know if it's real or if it's fake. We don't even know. We don't know if it's fake, if real. We don't know anything about it. We just know that it's there. The reality of you not of pretending who you are really goes back to, do you know who you really are? And it goes back to my question about the Brady Bunch. Are we really living like the way we're supposed to? Is this a depiction of what we're supposed to live like? What is it? You know, and it can bring mental anguish to children. It could bring mental anguish even to yourself, because let's face it, be real, when those doors close, we may have a facade out there. And I told you guys the last time we spoke, I don't like the word wearing so many hats. No, it's just attributes of yourself that you're sharing. It's just a skill that you have. It's not any a hat. I don't want to hear that. It's an attribute of you that you're sharing, you know? So forget the hats, you know, and because when you do that, you're literally coding from one situation to the other. You're switching. So you're actually forming a facade or a personality each time you do that. And it's detrimental. It becomes detrimental to your mental. It becomes something that now you're conjuring in your mind that now goes down into your body and kind of sits there and says, am I really living the way I should be? Am I really that person? So it's really important, and it should be clear for you, like who you are. And if you don't know who you are, don't get involved with anybody. Don't do anything. Don't, you know, figure out who you are. Sit down, sit your butt down, and figure out who you are. You know, years ago, um, coming into the fundamentals of religion, I thought I was a Christian, and I wasn't. You know, because Christianity wasn't for us. You know, it wasn't for us. Christ didn't tell us to do that. We did that. So maybe faith would be part of what we do. But anything that has laws and rules and regulations is probably law and something that was made up. But that's another story in itself. Um, then I, became a mom, and I became a mother, and then I figured out that that was just a role that I was filling because of an action or a consequence or something that I wanted. So I then met this amazing person who wrote this book, No More Labels, and I always talk about her. She's from Poland. She's a psychologist, and she was one of maybe 10 authors I interviewed on my podcast way back when. I fell in love with this book. I read it every year around this time, and so that I can really focus in on who I've become throughout the year and start to shed off those things that I had, that are not necessary. So, why am I saying all this? As you all know, I am a survivor of childhood sexual abuse, and I've had 4 perpetrators in my life, and, of which all of them were people that I thought were family. You're supposed to care for me. Remember, I watched the Brady Bunch, right? And it wasn't so. It wasn't so. It was, and I was perpetrated for many years after that, before getting help, before getting therapy, before working on myself. I used to say I forgave them, but I walked around with a scowl. I walked around with mistrust. I hated everyone. I wasn't friendly with anybody. I wasn't even friendly to myself. And faking it, liking that person, knowing I hate them in my heart, began to get me sick. For many years, I suffered with asthma. Sorry, with asthma, and they couldn't figure out where I got it from. You know, and I they put me in all types of buterol, all these things. You know, and still, I was getting it year in, year out, and I was just suffering with bronchitis, pneumonia every year, and they just couldn't figure it out. And I had severe migraines, sinus migraines, and I had the surgery, and I just couldn't figure it out until one day at the therapist's office, I was talking to the therapist and, saying all these things. And she said to me, maybe you're just not saying what you need to say. So I didn't really think anything of it. A friend and I went to a healing session that was at a restaurant. So we had dinner, and it was like a reading. And so he pointed me out, and he's like, "You come up." I said, "I wasn't even asking, But I went up, and he said to me, he didn't touch me. He said, "You're not speaking your truth." I was like, "What are you talking about?" Talk to everybody, What are you talking about? He said, "You're not speaking your truth. Speak your truth and be your truth." From that point on, I realized that I went home and I sat with those words from both people. And I went home and I started doing my own inner work. And I wrote in my journal, what is it that's holding me? The truth of the matter, long story short, I was not saying what I needed to say. I was pretending to be nice to these people that perpetrated me because they were in the family. I wanted to keep the family together like the Brady Bunch. I lied, and the lie set in my lungs, and the lie set in my nasal passage, and the lie sat there and was making my life miserable. I was more sick than not. Why am I saying that? When you pretend to forgive people that have perpetrated it, that harmed you, that hurt you, that have really did something that's really bad to you, and you forgive them the way that we're taught to forgive, you're not doing yourself any favors. And guess what? It's okay if you don't. But as long as you forgive yourself for not knowing and then you disengage, but I will not allow you to pull me down with the hatred, all of that. I will not let you define how I'm supposed to feel, how I'm supposed to to accept things. Just like when you fall in love, you're lovesick, everything feels great. So does hatred does the same exact thing. It does the same exact thing. So pretending or acting like it doesn't exist or putting on this facade that yeah, yeah, but it's okay. It's in the past. Guess what? The past always meets the present and it affects the future. So I had to face the fact that, yeah, this did happen and not pretend it didn't happen. Yeah, it happened. Yeah. And maybe you're not strong enough at some point to say something to that person, but you will get strong enough to. And you will be able to let those things go because letting something out of you is better than holding it in because, again, it rests and it lies in your body. Perpetration means that somebody really hurt you, that changed the dynamics of your life. Whatever they did broke your trust and your love, and that damaged your life for the long run. So remember that when you're going through all that you're going through, like trying to figure things out from 2023, think about what perpetration is. It's not somebody who drank your milk at the office and aggravated you, okay? That's not the person. Or hit you on the arm. It's not the person. Um, they're the ones that changed your life, how you feel about things, how you trust people, how you love people, and they detrimentally changed your life. Detrimentally. And then there's those that were privy or were given, you know, were part of it, were part of what was going on. In my situation, it was my mom who knew, who I told, and may not have had the ability to figure out what to do and did her best then, but still, I was a young child. Um, it was the police officers. It was not the school nor my teachers because they were very attentive and they listened to me and they believed me. Um, it was my perpetrators themselves not acknowledging that I was somebody. So it damaged me further in all of my relation. Those disengagements from my relationships with stepfather, um, with my father, with my mom, police officers, schools, things like that. All those, when you're perpetrated, you're damaged throughout your relationships in those areas, and they have to do with something with your relationships that you form in general. In general, the people that say, you didn't really see that, maybe it wasn't your perception, or what happens here stays here, are those folks that have something to hide, and they're not real themselves. They're also living a facade. I've worked with many clients and I've heard their experiences and even counseled their decisions and helped shift their mindset and change how they were thinking. I am a relative and friends to those who have had bad childhoods and have said to me, I've forgiven, but their lives reflect that they haven't, or they don't know how to. They're just saying it. And they seem to be stuck in this hole of trying to get out of it through Christianity, through religion, fundamental religion, through fundamental groups, through doing things that keep them busy so they are not alone with themselves. They're reaching and grabbing, and they're not finding the way out. They are living the Brady Bunch life. But they haven't figured out that it's okay that you haven't figured it out, but it's not okay to pretend. They haven't figured that out because it's killing them. It's literally killing them and damaging them in their soul of the person who they could be, who they could blossom to be. And then it's killing them quietly and damaging their body. It's getting in there, and that bitterness is sitting in there, forming a disease, where it be cancer, and it's more likely cancer or some kind of lung dysfunction or something dysfunctional within the body that could be warded off, literally, fundamentally, in the beginning, by your attitude about what you're harboring in your soul, in your mind. Then dealing with it, from perspective, how do I get better holistically? How do I do that? And starting to holistically heal from that and just work on it, work on here, all in here, Line up spiritually with God in here, not out there, because that's just a temporary motivation. In here is the eternal motivation. I've seen people die because of the perpetration hurt them so bad they couldn't even deal with it. I've seen people use external items like drugs, alcohol, and kill themselves, harm themselves to the point that they're gruesomely, you know, have died. Family members I've seen, do that. And I wish they knew that they don't have to pretend. They don't have to pretend. Yes, it did happen. If you all don't want to admit it, I do. Yeah, my life was crap. I'm not going to pretend like God came down and took it away from me. I did a lot of work myself because that's what He gave me all the abilities to do. I did a lot of work myself. I had to wake up to that. I was sitting in church 29 years thinking God's going to take off all this stuff. And I was like, woo, lo and behold, He didn't. I had to do the work. It was a real wake up call for me that I had the abilities, all the abilities all the long time, all the time. So don't be poor. Don't lack anything. Don't be sick. Stop pretending. If I give you anything for 2022, stop pretending. Everything that's not real, that's not part of you, that you're replicating from somebody else, stop doing it. Stop it. It's just, if it doesn't feel good for you, stop it. We need to learn to be our individual selves, who we are. We won't be so easily hurt when we're our individual selves. We won't try to walk in other people's trails. We're walking our own. We're walking our own road paved with whatever we want. We won't try to go in their trails because trails take you around about and all over. But our own road is paved with whatever we want it to be like. It doesn't take anybody in the exterior to motivate you. Yeah, I inspire you. I turn something on that's already was like running a little bit, but I just reminded you what was really, really is inside of you already. So for 2024, this is my message to you on a Sunday. Stop pretending. Know who you are. Be who you are. And know where you're going and how to get there. I hope that I said something that helped you today. This is Edna White saying goodbye for now.